Welcome to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. This show is all about sharing the tips, tools, and techniques that will allow you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams despite your feelings, fears, or past failures, to imagine what's possible for yourself and live the life you deserve. Well, hello, and welcome to this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. I'm your host, Alicia Khoury. I'm so glad you joined me today for this because this is going to be an amazing show because of the topic. Not because of me, but because of the topic, because of what we'll be talking about today. Before I get to that, I just wanted to share how you can get in touch with me. If anything sparks your interest that I've shared with you and you want to go deeper with it, or you want to have a discussion around it, feel free to connect with me, Alicia360.com, ALICIA 360.com, and reach out to me. You know, you can WhatsApp me, you can text me, email me from that site. You can also kind of connect to all my social media platforms, connect with me on all the social media platforms that's listed there as well. So you can DM me on those platforms too, if that's where you are. Don't forget to go check out the winwinwomen.com store. Go to Win-Win Women and check out our store. You know, there's so much great merchandise there for you to enjoy. So I would, if I were you, I'd go check it out and check out some other of the shows here on Win-Win Women TV. There's so much great content here. So avail yourself of it. Now, I am sharing today all about beauty and opulence. You know, opulence, that word, I just love that word. That's kind of my theme for this year, the spirit of opulence. And that word encompasses wealth, it's affluence. The dictionary says it is a profusion of abundance, a profusion of abundance. You know what that is? That is like, when you think of profuse, it just comes at you, right? It's a profusion of abundance. And that's where we want to live from. That's where we want to experience life from. That's what audacious confidence is all about. This profusion of abundance of confidence, abundance of wealth, abundance of operating in the life that you desire. And so as we're going through today, talking about beauty, I want you to keep that in mind, that the like profusion of abundance. Now, I thought about this topic because a few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with someone who is developing this mentorship program for kids, for youths, 12 to 16-year-old. And we talked about several different topics that they had outlined. And one of the topics was environment. And I started sharing about beauty and environment in a way that this person had never heard anybody talk about it before. And I thought, you know, that was a message. The message on beauty was a message I gave many years ago. It's really, for me, in my opinion, a foundation for confidence. Beauty is a foundation to any confidence. It's one of those pillars of confidence. And so I thought to myself, I haven't really talked about that in a little while. It's time for me to resurrect that message and talk about it again, and really allow people to see what beauty means, what it is, and how can we really incorporate it more into our lives. And so I'm reading, so this book, I got this quote from Thomas Troward. Pronounce his name, Thomas Troward. And in this book, so this book is a collection of his writings, nice big book, collection of his writings. I heard this quote many years ago, and so I wanted to share, starting this talk with you today from this quote, because it helped me see beauty in a whole different way. And he says here, huh, my camera just shifted. I don't know what happened, but he says here that beauty represents the supremest living quality of thought. It's the glorious overflowing of the fullness of love, which indicates the presence of infinite reserves of power behind it. It is the joyous profusion that shows the possession of inexhaustible stores of wealth, which can afford to be thus lavish and yet remain as exhaustless as before. Read aright, beauty is the index to the whole nature of being. How powerful is that? Beauty is the index to the whole nature of being. Let me just read that whole thing again, because there's so much power in that paragraph. And when I first read that or heard it, and then I looked it up and I read it over and over again, I'm like, wow, I have been underestimating beauty my entire life. We see beauty as this superficial veneer, and I have been underestimating the power of beauty my whole life. He says beauty represents, okay, let me read the whole paragraph. Therefore, we shall do well to ask, what is that these great minds found in the idea of beauty? So he's talking about how much Plato and Aristotle revered beauty. Why did they reference beauty so much? All the philosophers of the 14th, 15th, 13th, 14th, 15th century, like, why was beauty such an expression? Plato says it's the expression of all that is highest and greatest in the system of the universe. Like, why did they give beauty such a high position? And so he says, therefore, we shall do well to ask what it is that these great minds found in the idea of beauty, which made it thus appeal to them as the most perfect outward expression of all that lies deepest in the fundamental laws of being. It's because rightly apprehended, beauty represents the supremest living quality of thought. It's the glorious overflowing of the fullness of love, which indicates the presence of infinite reserves of power behind it. It indicates the presence of infinite reserves of power behind it. It is the joyous profusion that shows the possession of inexhaustible stores of wealth, opulence, right? Inexhaustible stores of wealth. That is opulence, which can afford to be thus lavish and yet remain as exhaustless as before. Read aright, beauty is the index to the whole nature of being. Beauty is the externalization of harmony, and harmony is the coordinated working of all the powers of being, both in the individual and in the relation of the individual to the infinite from which it springs. And therefore, this harmony conducts us at once into the presence of the innermost, undifferentiated life. Thus, beauty is in most immediate touch with the very arcanum of life. It is the brightness of glory spreading itself over the sanctuary of the divine spirit. For if we viewed from without, beauty is the province of the artist and the poet, and lays hold of our emotions and appeals directly to the innermost feelings of our heart, calling up the response of that within us, which recognizes itself in the harmony perceived without. So your harmony within and without, beauty kind of encompasses all of that. Wherefore we find beauty, we may infer an enormous reserve of power. He's saying here that beauty equals power, because beauty really, and I'm skipping ahead because he talks about it as the creative source of power. In The Impassioned Artist and The Calm Thinker, both find that the only true beauty proceeds naturally from the actual construction of that which it expresses. It's not something added on as an afterthought, but something pre-existing in its original idea. Oh my gosh, you listen. I'm going to read I'm going to read a couple more things on this, and then I want to talk about it, because I mean, I'm reading this stuff and about beauty and about opulence, and it's just sparking so much creativity inside of me, and I'm like, it's no wonder that this is what he's talking about, like the creative power inside of you. And creativity is exhaustless. There's no exhaustion to our creative power. Our belief, but all this exists in and is produced by our belief. And when we come to examine the grounds of this belief, we shall find that it rests upon an entire misapprehension of the nature of our own power. If we clearly realize that the creative power in ourselves is unlimited, then there is no reason for limiting the extent to which we may enjoy what we can create by means of it. Where we are drawing from this infinite, we need never be afraid of taking more than our share. That is not where the danger lies. The danger is in not sufficiently realizing our own richness and in looking upon the externalized products of our creative power as being the true riches instead of the creative power of spirit itself. So true beauty and true power are the correlatives of one another. Kindly expression originates in kindly thought, and kindly expression is the essence of beauty, which, seeking to express itself ever more and more perfectly, becomes that fine touch of sympathy, which is artistic skill, whether applied in working upon material substance or upon the emotions of the heart. So beauty is perfect harmony, is always in perfect harmony with its environment, and what constitute perfect harmony with its environment and perfect expression of its own inward nature, and what constitute beauty, and our ignorance of the nature of the living of the thing or its environment may shut our eyes to the beauty it already has. All right, I'm putting this aside because I could just read and read and read and read and read. Let's break this down. So he's saying the creative power that we have within us. So spirit, God created us. And there's this creative power that's within us. And that creative power is within that creative power is beauty itself. So beauty is the creative power of our beings, and because it's creative power, it's limitless, it's inexhaustible, it's profuse, right? And because it's limitless and inexhaustible and profuse, it's opulent in nature. And so this power resides inside of us, and it's the ability for us to create. And when we look upon the surface of something, and we just look upon the surface as beauty, we're missing the the power behind it. We're missing the grandness of it. We're missing the inexhaustible wealth that resides within it. So my story, for instance, where I was looking at myself and didn't see beauty in me at all, which is a total lie. I couldn't see it in a mirror, and that blocked my creativity. It blocked the creative power that I had. It blocked my ability to see limitless, to step into a confidence that I didn't know I had. It blocked that power inside of me to create and value what I've created and value myself, because I couldn't see beauty in the mirror. And that when I started shifting that, when I started looking at beauty from a completely different perspective, and I started looking at beauty for myself, like how could I create a paradigm, a belief of beauty that represented me? How could I create that? See, creative power again. I needed to create, I needed to shift the paradigm of belief that I had before and shift it into this belief of beauty that I could now embrace and say, yes, I am beautiful. I have beauty within me, and I have beauty without, like outside of me. And when I made that shift, I started seeing beauty in the mirror. But I had to shift my belief about beauty. I had to look at beauty for more than just the superficial. And once I shifted my belief, the superficial changed as well in my mind's eye, in the mirror. And I started recognizing beauty in myself. And that created a confidence in me that allowed me to see more and to expand and to grow and to take bigger chances. And for me personally, that's the very nature of God. And I was able to see that within me. Now, back to the conversation I was having with this gentleman that he was outlining the topics for for the youth program. And we were talking about environment. And I said, beauty, when you start beautifying an environment, it changes people. It changes the way people see themselves, the way it changes their image of themselves and the way that they relate to their environment. And he's like, wow, that's so powerful. Because look at any efforts to beautify a neighborhood. Pick up the trash, start a neighborhood garden, build a park, instead of this empty abandoned lot being a trash heap. Let's beautify it. Let's create something wonderful out of this, a garden. And when that happens, what starts happening? The street lights get fixed. And because people want to say, well, let's shine a light on this now. Before, they didn't want the light shined on the disgusting trash. They start picking up the trash. They start painting. One of my favorite movies is Cars. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, Cars. So it's a Disney kids movie, but there's a part where Lightning McQueen, he comes into this kind of broken down, desolate town, small little town on Route 66 that had become somewhat abandoned because the highway was built and now nobody was traveling along Route 66 anymore. And so the paint jobs were broken down and things were, everything was dreary and drab, and nobody was really taking care of anything anymore because Nobody was passing through. Well, when little by little things started changing and he started bringing life back into this place, suddenly people started painting their storefronts. They started cleaning up the storefront, repaving the road, because they were now looking at visitors are coming. People are going to come here. And when they show up, our place is going to be beautiful again. So when you start beautifying something, when you beautify your environment, it allows your creativity to flow. It allows your whole sense of being to become uplifted. So just try that on for size. If you're feeling low, or you're feeling like you're uninspired and you're just, things aren't really working well, get some flowers. Make your environment appealing to your eyes. Light a candle that also helps give that environment a beautiful smell. Beautify the things around you, and suddenly you'll start seeing more possibilities. You'll start feeling the creativity flowing. So beauty needs to not just be in you, it needs to be without. And that's what outside, I keep saying without, but I mean outside of you. That's what I mean with within and without, within and outside. And that's what he's talking about. Part of what he's talking about in the book. It's creating this space that allows beauty to flow, because beauty equals power. And when we're operating in that space of beauty, then we're able to allow power to grow. Leland Van der Waal, and I'm reading it off. I'm reading it from over there. I need to take my glasses off to read it. He says that our belief systems are based on the evaluation of something, and frequently, if we reevaluate something, our belief about it will change. So if you have a belief about beauty that's one particular way, and that's what this passage really helped me to see, is that let me start looking at beauty in a completely different way. Let me start exploring what beauty is from these philosophers' point of view. Because if I kept staring in a mirror, which I hated doing, I will not, no matter how long I stared, I wasn't seeing the beauty. I had to change. I had to reevaluate how I was believing about something. And it was beauty itself I had to reevaluate. And that's how you change your paradigm. That's how you change your belief, is by reevaluating. Is what I'm believing about this true? Or is it just what I think? Or maybe a handful of people think, that I've just come to believe it to be so, and I've never really done my due diligence, and I've never investigated, and I've never researched this myself. And so when you take it upon yourself to read it, to research it, to do the work, the diligence, instead of just taking someone else's word for it, question everything. A mentor once said that, question everything and do your due diligence, so that you know that you're thinking about something properly, in order, instead of thinking about it based on old beliefs. So when we're looking about beauty and opulence, remember he said that beauty is the source of wealth. I want to read that again. Oh my goodness. I got to put my glasses on so I can read. See, there's this thing called vanity. This thing called vanity but in order to be able to read, I need to wear the glasses. So anyway, it is the joyous profusion, right? That word profuse, again, profusely. Opulence is a profusion of abundance. Isn't everything tied together? Isn't that great when you recognize so many things tie together? It is the joyous profusion that shows the possession of inexhaustible stores of wealth, which can afford to be thus lavish and yet remain exhaustless as before. It is limitless. Greta writes, beauty is the index to the whole nature of being. The whole nature of being. I just love that so much. This is why I wanted to share this with you today. I wanted to share this with you on this show. And again, it's Thomas, I hope I'm saying it right, Troward, Troward, Troward. So when you're evaluating this opportunity for beauty, don't look at it as an afterthought. Don't look at it as just a polished veneer. Don't look at it from the outside, just the, what someone looks like. But really look at it. What is inside that person? What is the beauty that resides inside that is radiating on the outside? Because that's where true beauty comes from. It radiates from the inside out. And it expresses itself. And that is the creative expression. So if you ever believe that you weren't creative, that you weren't beautiful, then you are doing exactly what I used to do. And you are putting barriers on yourself. You are actually putting a cage around your potential for inexhaustible wealth. And wealth is not just money. Wealth is inexhaustible creativity, inexhaustible opportunities to give, inexhaustible nurturing, inexhaustible love, giving. So don't just think of wealth as money, because that's not what wealth is. Wealth is an abundance of your heart coming out. And that's where your wealth really resides. It's that abundance, that wellspring of life that's coming out of you. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of good things, then you're able to give good things to others. And that is where it becomes inexhaustible. So I really, really hope that this message resonated with you, or it gave you food for thought, or it was something that you'd never heard of before, and thought, oh my goodness, that is powerful. I want you to really understand that there is such a creative power within you. You were created beautiful. Don't let anybody ever take that away from you, because once you figure that out and you hold on to that, you'll recognize that nobody can ever take that away from you. You are beautiful. And I started this every day saying, I am beautiful, because there's a power behind those words, I am. There's a creative power that comes with those words, I am. So I wrote it on my t-shirts when I did hair and makeup, that I am beauty. And I would say, I am beautiful. So if you don't feel it, if you don't think it, if you don't see it, start saying it. I am beautiful. And I want to encourage you, as you say that, to say it with boldness, to be brave when you declare it, and continue every day to do that. So you're building up that creative power within you. Rearrange your environment so that you can see beauty in it. Even if it's one little thing, a painting, a picture, something that you can look at every day to help pull that creativity and those creative juices within you. Do that one thing every single day, and that will help you step out with audacious confidence. And I will see you next time on another episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence here on Win Win Women TV. Mwah.